Hey, hey, hey! Yes, I'm finally back. I'm done with my pet sitting. Ay, ay, ay. Boy, I tell you, it was taking care of an animal menagerie. No joke. But something else that's not a joke is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'm back once again as your host here at the Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Yes, I normally say I'm the Grand Poobah, but some folks don't actually catch that Flintstones reference, right? So anyway, yes, it is Tuesday, August 14th. I am finally back. It was so good to finally get back this morning because I spent all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and all day yesterday pet sitting for my brother and sister-in-law because my brother was flying. He works for Southwest. And my sister-in-law had taken the kids camping for one last summer hurrah. So I had 2 dogs, 2 cats, a bird that hates all life on Earth. No joke. This bird hates everything. Also had a tortoise, about 5 lizards, as well as a tree frog and a new fish to take care of. So, thankfully, all of them survived my 3 days of watching them. So, yay! Nobody died. Nothing died. So, very, very cool. But, of course, there was no show yesterday. Boo! But I am back, and today I'm actually going to unbox and take a first look at the collector's edition of Everdell from Starling Games. I have really been looking forward to checking this game out. So I am thankful that today I'm going to finally get a chance to unbox it with you and take a first look because it looks pretty sweet. And I gotta say, the artwork is phenomenal. Anyway, so I was spending the weekend watching pets. I was hoping to get an opportunity to do some gaming with my best friend Elliot Miller from voiceof.com. And unfortunately, family commitments came up and we didn't do any gaming. So I spent a lot of time watching baseball and reading RPGs. Hooray! And taking a peek at some rule books for some games that I've got coming up for review, but I still have to actually play them. I have a good idea as far as the rule books, but I gotta play a game at least 3 times before I do have a review. So, anyway, you may hear Pinky down here, excuse me, down here kind of caterwauling a little bit because, yes, the kitties are downstairs with me in the duct tape studios again. So, Pinky and Smokey are both down here, although I think Smokey is now sacked out. She was sitting on my lap a little bit earlier, climbed down, and that's usually when she goes to sleep. So, the life of these animals, I swear. Eat, sleep, defecate, that's about it. That's about all they do. All right, so I've got some news today. I do want to point out right off the bat, I don't have a lot of images for the news pieces today because some of the games I'm going to talk about are kind of a ways off. Some of them aren't going to be appearing until sometime next year. But before I get into the news, I do want to point out that chat is available through YouTube. This is a live stream. I know a vast majority of people watch the show afterwards, but if you're tuning in and kicking back, feel free to say hello, or if you have a question or comment, you want to get a closer look at something with Everdell, by all means, chime in. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more oddball commenters at bay, but I will see the chat and I will respond. So, without further ado, let's get on into the news because there's a new Legacy edition of Machi Koro, which will be arriving next spring from Pandasaurus Games. Yes, I'm kind of surprised. I thought Machi Koro was part of IDW Games, but I guess it's moving on over to Pandasaurus, and Pandasaurus does good stuff. So, there's this Legacy edition, and I've got a wee bit of dope, although a lot of it seems to be kind of humorously redacted. Machikoro Legacy is an all-new game with an amazing narrative arc set in the world of Machikoro. We can't say much, but we can tell you this. Everything will change, and change again, across this 10-game narrative arc. When we first came to Rob Davio, I think that's how Rob pronounces his name, but he is the designer of Pandemic Legacy, Risk Legacy, as well as plenty of other titles. With the idea of making Machikoro Legacy, he said no. So we asked again, and he said no. Not because he didn't want to make the game, but because he didn't have the hook on how to make the game right. Then one day, I got an email out of the blue. Of course, this is not me. This is Pandasaurus Games. Rob had an idea, and what an idea it is. This is our first Legacy game, but obviously not Rob's. And they are honestly a little hard to talk about without spoiling everything. Here is what we can say. You are still rolling dice. You are still collecting income. You are still racing to build landmarks. But then you unlock the censored, and you start earning a little extra income by censored. And then you start to explore the censored, and then have to make a choice between censored and censored. Even if you aren't in contention to win a given game, you still have censored to set up exciting censored for the next one. And then the entire paragraph deleted. The story is a tale of Redacted based on the Japanese Redacted that was created with input from Naboke Takarub, the original designer. I know I mispronounced that name. And the game will feature all new artwork from Nobura Hata, the original artist of Machikoro. This is set for a spring release next year. So I do not have any info on the number of players, the ages, the kind of playtime you're looking at, or an MSRP. But what I can tell you is Machikoro is a cool game. It is a lot of fun, and it is language independent. And this is cool that there's going to be a legacy game that you're going to be able to play through a 10-game narrative arc. One thing I do understand is, unlike some legacy games, once you have played through that arc, you are still going to be able to play the game. You will have basically your own custom edition of Machikoro. So that's pretty cool, because a lot of times with some of the legacy games, you play through the number of missions or games, whatever. Excuse me, and then that's pretty much it. You can purchase kind of like a reboot package and things like that if you want to play it all from scratch again. But a lot of times you don't have the opportunity to actually play that finished product. This is not going to be the case. Do want to point out my sinuses are still blown out. And as always, when I have something wrong with my sinuses, it starts becoming bronchitis. Yay. So I apologize if my voice is kind of raspy and I'm kind of hacking a bit, because unfortunately, see, I can kind of tell that bronchitis is going to start setting in, and I hate that. But that's what happens with 35 years of smoking up until I had my heart attack. Yeah, there went the smoking. But anyway, so Machikoro Legacy comes out spring next year, and my interest is piqued. Another game that is on the horizon, but not so far off, is Codenames Harry Potter, which is coming from USAopoly. And if you like Codenames Duet, you are definitely going to want to check this out. Codenames Harry Potter features the gameplay from Codenames Duet, with players working together to reveal all the right cards before they run out of time or summon Lord Voldemort or another dark wizard. The cards that players need to guess feature a word or phrase on one side and an image on the other. This is a fun, easy to learn, cooperative word and picture deduction game for Harry Potter fans of all game levels. Players help their teammates locate secret agents who are concealed among a grid of Harry Potter references. Use only one-word clues to guide guessers to the right spots, or hidden Death Eaters will cost them the win. Oh no! Codenames Harry Potter is for 2 players or possibly 2 to 4 players because I have seen conflicting information on this. It is for ages 11 and up, plays in around 15 to 30 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $24.95 when it releases next month. Once again, I only have this one image for the game. I don't have anything else to share with you as far as what's going on with, Codenames Harry Potter. But, of course, it's from USAopoly. It is Codenames. People are going to just jump on board and grab this. Let's talk a little bit about RPGs because I gotta be honest, when I hear Lovecraftian info and it's coming from Chaosium Inc., I'm pretty excited. So I do want to mention that Chaosium is going to be publishing a second edition of the award-winning Harlem Bound. I should say Harlem Unbound. And I've got the dope. Chaosium Inc. has revealed they'll be publishing a second edition of Harlem Unbound, written by Chris Spivey and originally released through his Darker Hue Studios. Investigate mythos mysteries in the 1920s. In the 1920s New York City Harlem Renaissance, that is. This is an RPG sourcebook for Call of Cthulhu and Gumshoe, keeping in mind that this new edition will probably only be for Call of Cthulhu. Picture this. New York City in the 1920s. Prohibition is in full swing and bootleggers are living high. African Americans flee the oppressive South for greener pastures, creating a new culture in Harlem. The music of Fats Waller and Duke Ellington pours out of the city's windows and doorways, and the sidewalks are crowded with women in stylish skirts and silk stockings, and men in white gloves and Chesterfield coats. There's a feeling of possibility in the air like never before. But even in this land of promise, Harlem is a powder keg. While classes and cultures collide, Lovecraftian horrors lurk beneath the streets, creeping through dark alleys and hidden doorways into the dreamlands. What great old one shattered our reality? Can you hold it together and keep the mythos at bay for one more song? This sourcebook flips the standard Lovecraftian view of minorities on its head, putting them in the role of heroes who must struggle against cosmic horrors while also fighting for a chance at equality. By default, the protagonists of Harlem Unbound are African American, not white, which is the standard assumption found in Lovecraftian fiction. Our heroes and heroines come from all walks of life with regard to class, ethnicity, race, religion, gender, and sexual orientation. The heart of the Renaissance was a revolution aimed at changing the world through art, ideas, and the written word. It was a uniquely powerful movement against the unjust status quo, a time in history that still inspires us today. The history, people, and stories in this book shine the spotlight on the people of Harlem, their successes, and their struggles. Chaosium will publish a second updated edition of the critically acclaimed Call of Cthulhu supplement, Harlem Unbound, and this was announced at the close of this year's Gen Con. Harlem Unbound is the creation of African-American game designer Chris Spivey. The first licensed edition was published to critical acclaim by Spivey's indie studio, Darker Hue Studios. Spivey's first release, Harlem Unbound, won 3, count them 3, gold awards at the 2018 Ennies Awards. The new edition of Harlem Unbound will feature additional scenarios, new maps, and new art. I do have to point out, there's no word on when we'll see this new edition, but you can currently score the original 276-page award-winning edition in PDF at DriveThruRPG for $25. So, I have not read Harlem Unbound. Yes, I know. I'm a Call of Cthulhu fanatic. I have run it for decades. I try to get my hands on just about everything for it. But I have to apologize, I have not checked out Harlem Unbound, but I have heard phenomenal things about this source book. You may recall, if you follow the Gaming Gang and have for some time, there was a game that came out Lovecraft-esque. And Lovecraft-esque talked about, and I hate using that term, social justice warrior, because I'm sort of one of them. I don't like the term. because it's asinine to be one, for one. But Lovecraft-esque approached it as, oh, this is the Lovecraftian game you've been waiting for, and it was going to open things up as far as kind of talking about how to run a historical game of Lovecraftian horror while addressing things like sexism and racism, bigotry, all these other things. And to be honest, personally, I thought the book fell flat on its face. I thought it was really a steaming pile. I thought it was crap. I have heard from many people that Harlem Unbound is fantastic, that it does tackle all these different subjects that are difficult for people to run a Call of Cthulhu campaign in the 1920s to sometimes wrap their heads around. And I happen to be the sort of person, when I run a campaign, I try to make it historical. So yes, there is sexism and racism involved in some of the stories I tell. But it is tricky. I have heard that Chris Spivey has just done fantastic work. So, by all means, keep your eyes peeled for when the new edition will arrive. I have to assume it's probably going to be sometime next year, because Chaosium isn't exactly the quickest company to turn things around. But in the meantime, you probably owe it to yourself, if you are a Call of Cthulhu or Trail of Cthulhu or Cthulhu Confidential fan, to check out Harlem Unbound. For my final news piece, it's also role-playing game related. Fans of CD Projekt Red's The Witcher series of video games will be pleased to know the pen and paper edition of the RPG is now available from our Talsorian Games. And here's the dope. In the midst of the Third Nilfgaardian War, Geralt of Rivia, the White Wolf, scours the continent for traces of his lost love. But this is not the only tale. A million other stories play out across the vast continent, and you are right in the middle of one of them. The Witcher pen and paper RPG allows you to tell your own story in the world of The Witcher. Adventure across the continent, interacting with living legends and influencing the politics of the land. Fight in the brutal and horrific Third Nilfgaardian War, or play out your own adventure as you avoid death and dismemberment. I like avoiding death and dismemberment. The game features 9 unique classes. You can play as bards, craftsmen, criminals, doctors, mages, men-at-arms, merchants, priests, and witchers. A bestiary of vicious monsters. Traverse the wild and hunt everything from the troublesome Necker to the hulking hypnotic fiend. Hulking and hypnotic. There's numerous spells and invocations. Call upon the chaotic magic of the Witcher world to summon tornadoes, leave hidden messages, and more. That's kind of a wide range there, right? Tornadoes and hidden messages. A visceral combat system. Skill and tactics rule the day, and a wrong move can mean ruptured organs or more. The 336-page PDF of The Witcher pen and paper RPG is available right now at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. Gotta say, this game has taken a long time to come out, because if memory serves correctly, I believe it was originally announced that it was going to release in the middle of 2016. So it's about 2 years late, a little more than 2 years late. So I really don't know a whole lot about the system itself. I believe the mechanics are like D10 plus attribute plus skill, something along those lines. I kind of think that's how it works. But you can pick up the PDF for $24.99 right now at DriveThruRPG. Do want to point out, as I do whenever I talk about any of the role-playing games over at DriveThruRPG, if you are heading there, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banners for the drive-thru sites, and if you happen to make a purchase at DriveThruRPG, I get a small portion of that purchase, and it all adds up. A lot of times, I mention this almost all the time, many months pays for our hosting, and we do not have cheap hosting. You don't pull in a couple million visitors a year on GoDaddy hosting. So, anyway, boy, I apologize. Sinuses are all. I'm trying not to sniffle much. I'm trying not to cough a whole lot. So, my apologies, because I am certainly. It's not as bad as the con crud I had when I got back from Origins. That was horrible, and I've never had con crud. That was the first time in almost 9 years of doing this stuff that I had a case of con crud. Went to Comic-Con, was fine. Go to Gen Con, and it was just, when I got back a couple days later, it's kind of, just, you can kind of feel it under the surface. Kind of like, why am I sniffling so much? Yuck. Anyway. All right, so that was the news for the day. I know a lot of people are tuning in for me to show off Everdell from Starling Games. I will do that in just a few minutes. Just so you know what's coming up the rest of the week, as well as some of the other games that are on the horizon that I'm going to be covering. So on tomorrow's show for Wargame Wednesday, I am going to review Hitler's Reich, World War II in Europe from my friends over at GMT Games. A lot of people have been checking out the episode of the Daily Dope where I did the unboxing and the first look. So I was going to review Mark Herman's Fort Sumter. Why did I zone on that for a second? But I have had a lot of people asking me for a review on this. So I will have a review on tomorrow's show. Then on Thursdays, love to do RPGs. On Thursday, we're going to actually take a peek at Kids on Bikes from Renegade Game Studio, as well as Hunters Entertainment. So if you are a fan of games like, say, Tales from the Loop, this is one that you might want to check out. So I'll be taking a peek at that. That's on Thursday's show. Then on Friday's show, I will be reviewing Tiny Epic Galaxies. Yes, really, really dig it. So I will be doing a review. I'll actually do a how to play as well. I'll do a short how to play on Tiny Epic Galaxies. And I've already kind of let the cat out of the bag on previous shows. I really dig it. Really like it. On Monday's show, I will be unboxing and taking a look at Master of the Galaxy, which is from Ares Games. This was a Gen Con release. This is a quick playing 4X science fiction game, so we will be taking a look at that. I am going to try over the weekend to actually do some standalone videos, maybe do some unboxings, maybe, because honestly, I have some standalone unboxing videos that I had already shot, and I have played the games enough to review them, so I might actually combine those together just as kind of standalone videos. Because I know some people like watching standalone stuff as opposed to listening to me babble on the Daily Dope here. I get it. I understand. But I got a backlog that I really got to move through. Just like I got a backlog of a lot of Gen Con interviews. So yesterday I did get my interview with John Kadishi from Ninja Division up, as well as Brenna Noonan from Starling Games, who make Everdell. So that's up. Today I should have my interview with Bruce Vogue from North Star Games, which is actually pretty funny. It's a pretty funny interview. That should be up later on tonight as well. Anyway, talking about some other stuff on the horizon, I've got Archmage, which is also from Starling Games. This looks pretty cool. This is supposed to be a pretty deep game, too. So I've got that. We're going to be taking a look at Fist of Dragonstones, the Tavern Edition, which I'm holding up upside down, which is from Stronghold Games. So we'll be looking at that. I've got Legends of Andor from Cosmos. This is just a few games. I've got a bunch of RPGs. I have a lot of stuff. I'm just showing up a few items that are on the horizon. Legends of Andor, which is from Cosmos. The game has been out for a while, but I had never actually played a Cosmos game. I have an interview with Lily from Cosmos that's going to be up, and they wanted to give me, they wanted to kick the tires, I guess I would say, on my review style. So I've got that, and then I actually have from USAopoly and Mondo, I think it's Mondo Entertainment, The Thing, Infection at Outpost 31 that I'm going to be taking a look at. It's Project Raygun, Mondo, and USAopoly, and I'm a huge fan of the movie The Thing. So this has also been out for a little bit, but I'm going to be taking a peek at that as well. So that's what's on the horizon. So you can kind of get an idea of what you'll be seeing. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do some standalone stuff. Hopefully going to shoot it over the weekend or finish shooting some of the stuff over the weekend. All depends, because as folks already know, I had to spend the weekend pet sitting. And I couldn't really do any work on videos because the computer that I render videos that has enough power to do that and not take hours at a time is what I use for the Daily Dope down here in the Duct Tape Studio. So I was going to break that down and bring it on over to my brother and sister-in-law's house. Anyway, as promised, I'm going to be taking a look at Everdell from Starling Games. It is designed by James A. Wilson with art provided by Andrew Bosley. The game is for 1 to 4 players, so there is a solitaire element to the game. It's for ages 13 and up and plays in 40 to 80 minutes. Interesting. The collector's edition was available in limited quantities. Let me get a sip here. Boy, I tell ya, having your sinuses all messed up really kind of messes with you trying to talk, too. Let's try that from the top. The collector's edition was available in limited quantities at Gen Con. I am not sure if there are still copies of the collector's edition or not, but I can tell you that the standard game is going to see a retail release on October 26th. It will carry an MSRP of $60. So, oh yeah, I'm serious. I have really been looking forward to checking this out. So let's switch on over to the other camera. There we go. So this is a pretty good sized box. And it has a sleeve on this. I do not know if the standard edition is going to have this same sleeve. I think the sleeve is representing the collector's edition. And the reality is, I can't honestly tell you specifically what the difference between the collector's edition may be and the standard edition. I seem to recall Brenna mentioning that the cards are a little bit different, that there might be like foil cards, but then again, that might have been Archmage that she was talking about. So the premise of this game is it is a tableau building game and a worker placement game. Let's make sure I'm not cutting into something I should not be cutting into. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I think we should be all right. And like I said, the artwork to this game just looks spectacular. It really does. So that was the first thing that caught my eye when it went up on Kickstarter. And if you have been watching the Daily Dope, you do know that I have had some news pieces about Everdell on the Daily Dope, both when it was on Kickstarter and when it was announced when it's going to come to retail. So very nice sleeve here. Let's slide this on out. All right, come on, you. All right. I don't want to tear this. So, excuse me once again as I'm hacking here. So, this is the artwork on the box here. This is the artwork for the standard edition as well. I'm going to take a guess we will not see the collector's edition on that. So let's flip this on over. Let's take a look at some of the info on the back. And I might as well put the old reading specs on just in case. It says, within the charming valley of Everdell, a civilization of forest critters is thriving and expanding. Will the sun shine brightest on your city before the winter moon rises? So, if you take a look, because we're probably going to lose out on some of the impressiveness just in the unboxing here, there's a tree. You actually build a tree, and I believe some of the cards actually reside on the tree. So, this game actually has a really cool table presence. I saw it at Gen Con. I actually shot some B-roll footage, and there were so many people packed around the demo table. No joke, I'm not making this up. There were so many people in there that as I was trying to shoot, because I always shoot my B-roll normally just on an iPhone, because I can kind of get in there and stuff like that. I don't have to, have the camera in my hand. I just had the hardest time actually getting clear shots because so many people were gathered around it and pointing at stuff. And so, if you watch the interview with Brenna, I actually used some just kind of standard images as far as my B-roll footage. So, okay, so we're going to see right here. It's going to tell us what's in the collector's edition. So we get metal point tokens. We get 6 wooden rat workers, 20 wooden occupy tokens with stickers, a deluxe 8-sided die for the solo game. I don't know what a deluxe 8-sided die is going to look like. There's a legendary expansion, so we get 10 legendary cards, 5 critters, and 5 constructions. Extra cards, so we get 15 cards there, 6 unique types. And it says, extra, it's a lively time in Everdell. The carnival is in town with fire jugglers. Wait a second, fire jugglers? You got a big tree there. Why would you be juggling fire? The Scribble Championships are about to commence, and the Gazette is hard at work reporting on all the events. To include these cards into the game, simply shuffle them into the main deck during setup. So it talks about the Legends expansion. So they represent unique critters and constructions in the world of Everdell. These powerful cards add variability and complexity to the game. Therefore, it is recommended you do not use them until you're familiar with the base game, and then only when you feel like a twist on the regular game. Okay, so we got a little bit of information on the setup, details, got a little index here. I believe this index is probably talking about the legendary cards. So I think this is just talking about with the legendary, or I should say Legends expansion for Everdell. So now we know what's different in the collector's edition. So we've got the rules of play. Not a ton of rules, but probably a few more rules than you'll normally find in most, say, Euro-style games. So I do understand that the game will progress through 4 seasons. So the game begins in the winter, then it moves on to the spring, the summer, and then the final season would be fall. So we've got a little bit of a poem here showing us the contents, the game board, basic event tiles. There are the point tokens. Occupied tokens, 128 critter and construction cards, 30 berries, 30 twigs, 25 resin, 20 pebbles, 24 workers, 6 per player, and 1 ever tree. And it's showing us how do you build the ever tree. There's special event cards, there's a victory card, talking about the setup. And as I mentioned, yeah, there's a few more pages than in some Euro-style games, but you can see right off the bat, loads of illustrations. So it's showing us how you would set up for a 4-player game. Talking about how to play, how to place your workers, locations to visit. So we've got basic action spaces, forest locations, destination cards, events, a haven location, a journey. In autumn only, you can send a worker on a journey. Playing cards, so you've got constructions and critters. Looks like you've got some options showing requirements. So, for example, the judge looks as if they're a turtle here. A requirement would be a courthouse or 3, what was that, 3 berries? So you're building your city. Every player is building their own city. So showing your city has a maximum of 15 spaces. So it looks as if it's looking like the suggested city layout is a 3x5 grid of the cards. Talking about card types by color. Tan, traveler, green, production, red, destination, blue, governance, and purple is prosperity. Talking about drawing cards, preparing for the season. Really like the artwork. Really, really dig the artwork. And these meeples are pretty cool too, because it looks as if they're kind of shaped like, looks like we've kind of got a squirrel. Looks like they're maybe a turtle, showing the end game. I like how they have a bat here, and the bat is actually just one of the citizens. Bats kind of get a bad rap in games, so I always like to see, hey, because bats aren't necessarily, you know, bad mammals or anything like that. They serve their purpose in life. So we've got that. We've got solo rules. There we go. Oh, looks like solo rules you actually play through multiple years. Now we got an index talking about the critters. Then we've got the constructions. Tale of the Standing Stone. So it looks like we get a little bit of a little background story here, a couple pages, a little background fiction. And there you have it. So all told, really you're looking at 14 pages of rules, and most of that is taken up by a lot of examples as well as images of the game. So very nice. So we have here's the board. I wonder if we're going to have enough space here to show this off. We might. So it appears that when we build the tree's going to go here. That's my guess. This looks like we've got some worker placement areas over here. Kind of hold these up a little bit, maybe get a better look. So we've got that. Then if I fold this, you look at the bottom half. So it looks like we've got some more different worker placement areas. We've got that haven as well as the journey that you can only do, it says right here, only open in autumn. So we've got the journey there. So nice stock as well. It's just one-sided, but good card stock on this. This should hold up pretty nicely. Okay, then we've got some punch boards here. So we've got the punch board where we've got the trunk of the tree that we're going to put together. Looks like, I believe these were like scoring tokens. I think these were the occupied tokens here. So that's what those are. What the occupied tokens do, I don't know. But I seem to recall that it looked like these were occupied tokens. So we've got that. We've got some more scoring tokens, as well as more pieces of the tree that you'll be building. Okay, and then we've got another piece of the tree, and then it looks like we've got some special areas. I think, didn't we see something where it said that these are like special event areas? Something like that? Something along those lines? Because look, here we've got, looks like a little circus. This might be some traveling merchants. Got a little boat there. And then almost looks like, I don't know if that's supposed to be a shrine of some sort. So we've got that. So we've got these occupied tokens because I think in this collector's edition we have the option of using different tokens for those occupied tokens. Yeah, see right there it says occupied token stickers. So we've got those. This is the custom 8-sided die, and I'll tell you right now, this is a seriously large die. It looks as if we're only going to use this 8-sider if we're playing solitaire. Wow, that is a nice die, though. That isn't just solid black. Let's see if we can actually kind of show that off a little bit. That is a seriously, and it's got some heft to it. This is not just some cheapo plastic die. So now I know how you make a custom 8-sided die. Because that's why I was like, I don't know how you make a custom 8-sider. Well, there you go. That is a custom 8-sider. Let me grab another sip here. So we've got the berry tokens. These are the berries. I believe this was resin. I think that was resin. These little gems here represent resin. Looks like these are the twigs. So we got the twigs. Remember, this is not candy. Do not eat. Do not eat the silicone gel. So those are the twigs. These are the rat tokens. Let's pop one of these out. Like rat meeple. Which I believe is part of the... This is part of the collector's edition. Hey, Drew Barbier's chiming in. Hey, Drew, haven't seen you in a while. Good to have you join us. So, this looks suspiciously like a rat. So that is one of the collector edition rat meeples. And there are 6 of those, it looks like. Yep, 6. So we've got that. Here are the collector edition metal coins, which I believe represent victory points. I believe they were saying they were victory tokens. So, got the gold. So these are ones. One denomination. I have to laugh because my nephew Cameron, who's part of the gang, we've been playing a lot of Raiders of the North Sea, and he just loves the fact that it has these metal coins in it. And I'm like, well, they could be anything. They could just be cardboard counters. It's not that big. It's like, no. He goes, I just love the metal coins. So I guess now I understand why some people, get metal coins on Kickstarters and stuff like that, where they're only getting like metal tokens and coins. So those are the single ones. These are the 3s, which are a little bit bigger. So we've got that. Let's take one of these out. Got 3. So, as far as stacking, so Drew's mentioning, I like metal coins. Wish they stacked like poker chips. Well, let's see. They seem to stack pretty nicely. I'm not seeing any issue with the stack. I understand the comment though, as far as poker chips. Poker chips, honestly, would probably have been a bit more. Would have added more to the MSRP because, of course, those are going to cost more than just the metal coins. Plus, it looks like there's already a pretty good amount of space that you're going to take up on the table with the game, where that may have been a little bit unruly. All right, then we got these gray tokens here. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what they were saying the gray was in the rule book. I forget. There we go. But we've got those. Then we've got these brown discs, which I'm going to take a stab. We're supposed to take the occupied stickers and put them on these discs. So you're actually using these little wooden discs rather than the ones on the punch board. All right, and then we've got the different meeples of the various animals, depending on the player. Let's get them from each color here. Because I think each one is showing a different animal. So here we've got... Jeez, is that supposed to be like a porcupine? Kind of looks like it might be a porcupine here. That's kind of cool. And looks here, we got looks like a squirrel. And these are kind of cut, kind of like a little bit of an angle to them. That's kind of different. So we've got the little squirrel. I told you I thought I saw something that's supposed to either be a turtle or a tortoise. And that is that right there. And then here, I'm going to take a stab that this is supposed to be a mouse. I believe that's supposed to be a mouse right there. So these are the different workers for the players. Looks like there's quite a few of them there as well. Probably as you recruit more citizens to your city, you probably will start to unlock more of these workers. All right, so then we've got different decks of cards. Let's see what we got. Oh, pretty small deck there. I like the insert. I like the insert because you can reach right in and pull them all out. Let's see if that that remains the case once I take these out. Well, this is kind of an oddly... There we go. Because sometimes with some of these inserts, the inserts are pretty cool, but you can't get your finger all the way down to get that last few one or two cards out. So, so looks like we've got, these might be part of that Legend expansion, because there's the Carnival. So I got a little juggler. Sturble Stadium? That must have been for that game they were talking about. So the Skirble Champion. Got these. Got the Town Crier from the Gazette. Just a couple of those. We see the Carnival. A couple of those cards. We got the Gazette. A couple of these maybe. Yeah. Here's the Skirble Stadium. So these are the locations that you're building in your city. So there's actually 3 of those. Then we got the King, Finn Nobletail, legendary critter. Postal Pigeon, Cirrus Windfall, legendary critter. Like I said before, this artwork is really nicely done. Poe, a teacher, legendary critter. Surprised he's not a writer. Surprised that bird's not a writer and it's not a raven, right, Poe? So, Foresight the Historian, legendary creature. There's the Queen. Hooray! Hooray, everybody! Bridge of the Sky, legendary construction. Yeah, this is all... These are all from that legendary expansion. Or legend, I should say, expansion. It's like McGregor's Market... Oleander's Opera House, Silver Scale Springs, really cool. The Green Acorn, yeah. Bet you it's supposed to be a tavern. I bet you I'd be hanging out there all the time. Oh yeah. Rugwort the Robber. I think this represents the amount of victory points having this critter or construction gives you in the game. I think. I don't know. But I would assume. So then we got Rugwort the Ruler. And then we've got... Is this the victory card? It just says, here's time to celebrate. Here's to the builder of the greatest city in all of Everdell. So maybe that is the victory card. Erect a memorial of your victory. Take a selfie with the other side of this card and share it with us. That's funny. I like that. If you win, take a selfie with this card and post it with the hashtag Everdell, and you can have at Starling Games if you're doing Twitter, or Play Starling Games if you're doing it to Facebook. Nice, I like that. Okay, so let's see. Can I reach in and take them all out? Yes, I can. Nice, I like that. Nicely done on that insert. Because wargamers out there would remember when I did the review for Wild Blue Yonder, which I love, which I think is an awesome game. My problem was the insert was not deep enough. So you could get out a lot of the planes and the cards and that, but you'd still have like 10 cards that you couldn't get out. So you'd have to flip the box over anyway to get everything out of there. So that is for the legendary expansion. These are all the cards for, let's just use the hobby knife, get this open. For the core game, so let's take a peek through some of these. Get to see some more really cool art. So we've got another victory card here. So let's see, it's all one deck. Wow, yeah, it's all one big deck. At least they all have the same backing on these cards. So let's see what we've got. Take a look through. We got a cemetery, chapel, a couple of those, clock tower, courthouse. I'm curious, I wonder if, depending on the number of players that you've got, if you might actually kind of construct the deck. So for an example, with 4 players, I've yet to see a card, which of course now I'm going to look through this deck and see one. But as far as the areas that you construct, I have not seen 4 copies of that card. So the reality would be, in a 4-player game, maybe you're using all these cards, but everybody's not going to be able to build the same construction areas. So we've got the crane, there's 3 of those. We've got a dungeon, looks like 2 of those. And I believe a lot of the unique creatures, or the creatures themselves, will actually give bonuses if you've got them as well as a certain location. I'm not sure about that, but I do believe that's the case. So you're trying to kind of create combinations of not only areas that you build in your city, but also the creatures who reside in your city. For some strange reason, I think the dungeon is tied into the ranger. There's like a little ranger. I think he's a mouse, if I remember some of the artwork I've seen previously. We've got the Ever Tree. Got fairgrounds. Got the farm. So I am also taking a stab that if you have this, that you can activate, say for an example, you have a farm, you can activate that to gain what appears to be a berry if you have this built. Now, I don't know if you can activate every location you've got, or if you only have so many that you'll be able to activate to use their special ability. So, yep, look at that. There's 4 farms. There's more than 4. There's 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's 8. Got a general store. 3 of those. We got an inn. Got a lookout post. Got a mine. One thing that's pretty cool too with some of the artwork and some of these locations, like a dungeon, right? You're thinking, oh, got this, kind of cute anthropomorphic animal artwork, but there's a dungeon. So it's not as if this is just everything's great sort of world, right? I mean, they've got a dungeon. They've got, like we saw in this legendary pack, it's like robbers. They look like, I think they were rats, showing a rat. So we got a palace, post office, resin refinery, ruins, a school, storehouse. Oh, see? This actually gives you a new location to place a worker, because I think the little paw print, because we saw it on the board, I think the paw print is actually a location where you would place a worker. So we got a theater. The Twig Barge! Twig Barge is coming through. And we got university. There's a lot of cards, a lot of stuff in this. So we've got those. Now we're going to see some of the unique creatures, probably, and probably see more of the locations that you can, you construct. So we got the architect, We've got the Bard, Songbird, of course. And then we'll see, like I see up in the corner here. So for an example, this bird, it says theater. We see the architect, actually Crane. So I believe from looking at the rules, this was a prerequisite. So it's a prerequisite for you to be able to recruit the animal, is my guess. Got the twig barge. Is that a frog? Sure enough, it's a frog. It's a smoking frog. He's got a pipe. Got the resin refinery with the squirrel. Oh, I should say the chip sweep. The prerequisite is the resin refinery. Got a doctor, and they'll show unique critter. The fool, yay, looks almost like me. Little skunk. Jesus, that's kind of funny. You need the fairgrounds to get him. There's that little bat guy. He's the historian. And you need to have the clock tower. Got the husband. Okay, so now we start seeing some common critters. It's got husband. You need the farm for him. Got the innkeeper. He's unique. Got the judge. He's also unique. There's the king. Obviously, he'd be unique. There's two of them. The minor mole. The monk. So you need the monastery to get the monk. Got the peddler. So you need ruins. Got the postal pigeon, where you need the post office. Now, I thought in the rules, so we see the post office and then we see two berries. So I'm kind of curious, because I thought it said, like, or, was showing or on it. You know, like either or. So I'm wondering, it might be you need to have the post office or you need to spend 2 berries to recruit the postal pigeon. Because I'm not seeing anything that says or. So we got the queen, who's a unique critter. And once again, there's that little paw print. Got a couple of those. There's the ranger I was talking about with the dungeon. Move one of your deployed workers to a new location. Unlocks second dungeon. Got the shepherd. Looks like an owl. So you need a chapel for that. There's a shopkeeper. You need a general store. There's the teacher. Got the undertaker, who is... he's a bug. That's different. Is he supposed to be like a cockroach? No, I don't think he's a cockroach. That's kind of funny. That's the first time we've seen an insect. Everything else is an animal of some sort. Got the wanderer. Looks like he's a little lizard. We got the wife. That for the farm there. The wood carver. Surprised that wouldn't be a woodpecker. It's a squirrel. It's the wood carver. All right, and then we got another location. So we got the castle and another cemetery. So these are all the creatures, as well, or I should say critters, not creatures, critters, as well as the locales. And then here we've got, I think these are events. I think these were the event cards. A brilliant marketing plan. Shopkeeper or post office. Courthouse or ranger for capture of the acorn thieves. Damn you, acorn thieves! Thankfully, we've caught you. Ancient scrolls discovered. Historian in ruins. An evening of fireworks. Tower and minor mole. Ah, so if you... I would take a guess that you can actually place a worker here to do this special event if you were to have a chip sweep and a clock tower in your city. That is my stab in the dark here. What is this? Frying doctor service? Oh, I think it's flying. I think it's supposed to be flying doctor service. So a doctor and a postal pigeon. Teacher in a university. Cool. Very cool. And I would take a guess you probably place these on the board. And once somebody actually performs this special thing, that maybe you discard the card and replace it with a new event. So cool. Cool deal. All right, so those go back in there. So we've got the Legend expansion in here. You'll notice there's space for more cards. So I know Brenna told me that there's going to be an expansion for Everdell that's on the horizon. So I bet you those cards would go in here. That's just my guess. So we've got the different worker meeples of the different animals, the 4 different animals. We've got the rats that are from, I believe they're from the Legend expansion. We've got the, maybe these are pebbles? I don't remember. I don't recall if it said pebbles. I don't know. Well, I guess maybe you would need pebbles. So we got that. We've got the twigs. We've got the resin. And we've got the berries. So I'm guessing to build stuff, we probably need these 3. Because, of course, resin, twigs, and pebbles, or rocks, I think they're pebbles, would be used by the animals to build stuff. And the berries, looks like you're probably using the berries to kind of recruit some of the critters. We've got the brown discs that are for the collector's edition, as well as these stickers to put on those. We got the really large custom 8-sided die. We've got the collector's edition metal coins with 3s on these. We've got 1s on these. We've got the different punch boards. That and a lot of this makes the big tree that's going to go on the board here, the playing board. And we've got the rules of play as well as the information about the collector's edition and what's included in it. And that is what we find, let me get some of this stuff out of the way, when we take Everdell, the collector's edition. Whoa, come on, close up. Outside the box. This looks really interesting. I have heard some really cool things. All right, so Drew's asking, sorry if I missed it, the tree does what? Well, for one, it makes the whole game really pop on your tabletop. But I believe that some of the cards from the various decks actually go onto the different levels of the tree. So here, I'll flip this around and show off the back of the box once again. And if you take a look, let's kind of zoom in on that tree. See, that's what's you're going to start seeing. So, okay, so see right at the the base of the tree, that's where the deck is. And then off to the side here, off of the board, that's pretty much where people are building their cities, where the 4 players are building the cities. But as you can see, there's different levels there, and I think those different levels also hold different cards as you're playing. But as you can see, this game really does have some serious table presence. And once again, I apologize that the B-roll that I shot at Gen Con, just because so many people were around the table that I couldn't really get great footage. So with the interview with Brenna from Starling Games that I put up yesterday, I had to actually use images from the of the game itself that are pretty standard, you can find anywhere, which was a little disappointing because it really does look like a very impressive game on your table. And I've been hearing some really good things about Everdell as well. That's easy to get into, and it has some unique layers of strategy that may not necessarily be apparent the first time or two you play, but as you play, it kind of unlocks different aha, a little light bulb goes up over your head and you go, oh, you have an aha moment. I like games like that. I really do. So as I mentioned before, the collector's edition was available at Gen Con. I do not know if there are still copies available. You may want to go over to Starling.Games. Yes, it's not a .com, it's Starling.Games to check it out. The retail edition is going to come out on October 26th, and it will carry an MSRP of $60. All right, so that is pretty much it for today's show. As I mentioned, pop in tomorrow. I will be reviewing, we're talking total change, right? Total change of pace here. I'll be reviewing Hitler's Reich, World War II in Europe from my friends over at GMT Games. So I know a lot of the war gamers will be popping in to check that out. So I do want to mention that when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel here at YouTube, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I apologize for my sinuses being just a mess and hacking and coughing all over the place. But I will be back tomorrow. So until then, have a great Tuesday. And as always, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.